Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new world champion of chess replacing the reign of Magnus Carlsen. It's Jan Nepomniachtchi of Russia. It's Ding Liren of China. 14 games were played in classical slow format. They ended 7-7. Today we play the tiebreaks. A best of 4 in rapid chess, 25-minute. And after that, if necessary, we will decide the World Chess Championship with Blitz. Yes, the same Blitz that you play on the toilet on your smartphone every single morning before you prepare for school or work. This is the way it works. Buckle up. It just ended. Literally moments ago, and it was absolutely sensational. What a match. Game 1. Jan Nepomniachtchi, Ding Liren. Ding Liren has white. They drew lots, okay? They drew out of a box. Ding Liren begins the playoffs, and he plays the move d4, and he plays what I've actually already talked about. Now, listen, I'm not going to take no credit here. I don't think Ding Liren watches my recaps, but if he does, Ding, thank you so much. Ding has played everything this match, okay? He's played this, and in one of my last recaps, I said, recently, the way people are getting interesting positions in the London is they're playing c3. And they're playing c3 to avoid c5. So if black goes here, now white plays a London and is like, haha, I tricked you. And if they play c5, white takes the pawn and doesn't give it up. And that's actually exactly what happened. Now, of course, this is still very principled. And essentially, this is the queen's gambit accepted, but with the colors reversed. So Jan plays e6. We have bishop 2 e3. Bishop e7, and basically, Ding just doesn't give the pawn back. But Ding's like, you can't have the pawn. That's literally the entire purpose of my opening. If you could get the pawn back easily, that would pose an existential threat to this entire thing I'm playing, and it would be dumb. Now, black has a couple of ways to play this. First of all, black has this really interesting gambit. I say gambit because it's giving white another pawn, but in return, black is going to start firing at the bishop and try to take this, and good pressure on the queen side and so on. But instead of that, there's just the immediate move knight g4. Now, if white plays passively, if white just kind of comes back, black will play b6, cb6, queen b6 threatens mate, and you think, okay, so what? Well, look, white's setup is very stupid looking, and at some point, the integrity of the entire setup will be challenged, and at that point, probably white will have to give the pawn back. So knight g4, bishop d4, and Jan plays queen c7. The idea of queen c7, where do all three of these pieces stare at? That square, right? So the idea is this. The idea is to play e5. Now, again, a massive existential threat here is posed to Ding Liren's position. If he plays bishop to e3, this is an absolutely horrendous transformation of his pawn structure. Why? Because he has doubled isolated pawns. He has no dark squared bishop, and black is going to feast. So instead of that, Ding Liren, of course, not only a frequent viewer of Gotham recaps, hence his opening of 3c3, but also a Gotham long-term subscriber, danger levels. Your bishop is hanging. What's worth as much or more than a bishop? A Gotham subscriber. You. Well, maybe you're not subscribed, but you might as well click it now that I've reminded you. If you watch all the videos because they get recommended by the algorithm, but you're not subscribed yet, I mean, I don't know, make a bigger number, better person, like Ludwig says. H3. Bishop, knight, worth the same. Okay, like kind of. Some people say bishop is 3.1. It doesn't matter. Takes bishop, takes knight, takes pawn, takes pawn, takes pawn, attacks knight. Now here, if Jan Nepomniachtchi had gone back, he would have been disqualified from the World Championship for playing a move that I would play. Instead of that, Jan Nepomniachtchi is like, well, my knight is hanging. You know what's worth as much as a knight? A Gotham Chess subscriber. That's you. Well, unless you're not subscribed, in which case you... Okay, I'm just kidding. Bishop f6. Now we attack the knight. This knight is also hanging. Ding plays rook c1. Jan captures, and now knight back to c6. Now, the difference in losing this pawn, whether it's to a knight or a queen, is the fact that if a knight arrived at this square, it would be a bull in a china store, and it would just destroy everything, okay? It would just kick around, and... Yeah, but queen, very different, and let's not forget this is also hanging. So, the apocalypse has taken place, and in the span of about 8 moves, half the pieces fell off the board. It's queen, knight, bishop, 2 rooks, and 5 pawns versus queen, knight, bishop, 2 rooks, and 5 pawns. Where's the imbalance? All over the place, actually. I mean, it's AC versus AB. It's FGH versus GFE. Like, white just doesn't have an H-pawn. The H-pawn went here, got absolutely obliterated by the bishop. Knight G5. knight e4, and then I just headed to d6. Now, visually speaking, I mean, I love Ding Liren's position. This is Ding Liren's bread and butter. Ding has a light squared bishop. Do you know chess strategy? No? Well, if you only have one bishop on the board, let's say it's a light squared bishop, you need somebody to cover your dark squares because you don't have a dark squared bishop anymore. So what do? You complement your light squared bishop. Not complement. You don't tell the bishop he looks nice. You complement the bishop. And what you do is you add a bunch of pawns on dark squares, which means you have nice little fluidity, nice little harmony, symphony, crescendo. All right, fortissimo going on. I'm just saying words to be funny. Hopefully I'm being funny. You have some nice synergy going. That's another buzzword with your pawns and pieces. Rook e5, queen d2, and I mean, Ding's got just an incredible position here in game number 1. I mean, Ding is looking to strike. All right, Ding, as always, the person playing with white is doing really well. Now, you'll notice that Jan is putting a rook over here. He has a grand total of 0 plans, but what he's doing is, that's a bit of an exaggeration. What he's doing is he's creating chaos, creating confusion. There are 2 ways to defend the chess position. 3. The first, buckle down, guard everything, hope you don't lose. The second, create chaos, create confusion, create counterplay. The third is to bribe your opponent. I don't think that's going to happen in the World Championship. Rook b1, knight e5, and yes, now we see the threat. It's knight f3. So for example, knight f3, take, and you lose. That's not a threat at this level. It's a threat at intermediate level. It's not a threat at this level because we just have the move e4. Now you will notice, all of a sudden, Stockfish has stopped liking white's position. Right? After this. Why? There's no threat, though. I mean, right? This is all covered. Stockfish stopped liking white's position because Jan Nepomniachtchi, in this position, plays a move that is so nasty. Have you ever sacrificed your queen? Do you blunder your queen? Is that a thing that you do? b6, cb6, what? A queen blunder in the World Championship? He gave up his queen. Pawn takes, rook takes queen is 100% free. Well, it ain't. It's a prank, bro. Rook c7, knight f3, the rook stops guarding this. If you go king f1, you walk into a fork, you lose a queen by fork, and you walk into another one, double forked, all right? And this is just mate. A full queen down, mate is unstoppable. Oh my God. Oh my God, knight b5, he has to go back, and suddenly all the pieces come off the board, and we're gonna get a little bit of a draw here by repetition of moves. All right, and you're not going out this way, because otherwise you're gonna lose your rook, so you gotta keep touching the rook, otherwise, you know, rook takes the... Game 1 ends in a draw. Oh my God, he was on the ropes, and he sacked his queen for defensive measures. That is disgusting. Jan Nepomniachtchi from the... Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And this idiot Gotham here said he had no plan with rook h5. He might have not. I mean, like, again, his plan was just sort of like this, but he did not. I mean, this is sensational. Oh my God. Okay. So Jan seizes the early momentum by holding a draw in game 1 of the playoff. Now, I said it's best of 4, right? So you got to win 3. You got to win 2.5 or 3-0. If it's 2-1, they're going to play a 4th game. All right, so we have a Spanish. We've had this opening a million times. We have a Spanish. We've also had this opening multiple times. And for this game, Jan goes back to a4. Now, keep in mind, Jan has basically played everything, right? He's played various c3 stuff, h3 stuff. Last time he played some bishop e3 thing. We have a4, h3, and we have another setup, a4, h3, bishop e3 that we have not seen yet. I'm not going to get into like the little intricacies of the Spanish opening and what pawn goes where. I feel like for all of you, it's like taking a 5-year-old to like... you know, the certain ancient exhibit in the Metropolitan Museum, you know, of New York, and like explaining symbols to you. It's not necessary. You got to get a little older to like fully appreciate it. Like me, I hated museums my whole life. And then recently, not hated, I just like didn't care. And then recently I went to the Met again, and I was absolutely fascinated by like 10 different things I saw. I was like, is this what it means to get older? I mean, some people like museums when they're young, but those people are weird. Unless it's like the Natural Museum, like unless it's dinosaurs, but like art museums as like a 14-year-old, bro, I just wanted to be on my phone, you know? And I wanted to know where we were going for lunch. But then I recently went to the Met. I was like, wait, this is actually kind of nice. It was also nice because I got recognized. But I mean, I'm just saying. Anyway, bishop a2, pawn takes a4. Okay. You may ask yourself why white just completely lost the pawn on a4. White lost the pawn on a4 because he can do whatever he wants. He's 2,800. Like, what do you... Stop asking him questions. The other real idea is the fact that this pawn can easily be won back. It's a doubled isolated pawn standing into the barrel of the gun here. Black is going to try to create counterplay like this, and as you can see from the eval, clearly nobody's done anything wrong. In fact, that pawn gets taken right away. It gets taken right away, and actually Ding secures a nice position, right? Knight c6, knight a4. I mean, life is good. So knight d4, bishop c4, c6, take. And Ding is trying to trade off the bishop here, while Jan, I mean, first of all, Jan can take that pawn. That's just 100% a clean pawn. I don't actually know why he didn't. Like, I can't really explain it to you. Maybe he didn't like queen a5, but then he has bishop c4, and then the knight can move somewhere. There is a tactic here, knight takes pawn, and if you take, there is this, but you don't have to take because it's not checkers. So, like, take. Maybe he just wasn't, I don't know, he didn't like something here. Queen b4, like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of targets, all right? I ain't gonna lie to you. There's a lot of targets in this position. Instead of all that, though, Jan just plays rook e1. I mean, he just doesn't take the pawn on a6, so Ding moves it. Like, chess is not uber complicated sometimes. Like, my pawn's hanging, so I'm gonna move it. World Championship solved. Queen f3. Oh, rook b7. e5. The board explodes. Board absolutely explodes. Ding plays knight d5. Ding is now worse. Both guys getting dropped. All right, like bare knuckle. Knight d5. And in this position, Jan just needs to stay patient. Just bring the bishop back, and black doesn't have a good move. Because if black takes on e5 to relieve the pressure, I got mating ideas, which are always nice. I mean, bishop d4, right? Everything in black's position is a bit weak. And if you play f6, that gets weak. So, like, there's no winning here. So, of course, I'll take that too, but c5, f6, same concept. But Jan plays this, okay? He rushes in, and now after this exchange, Ding gets back in the game. Ding uses the elasticity of the... I think that's the right word. I don't know. I just learned that from economics, but I think it's like elastic, flexible. I don't know. Queen e5. He uses the queen's flexibility to defend everything, trades the queens, trades this, and for the second game in a row, we get rooks and horses. All right, we get towers and horses, which sounds like a sequel game to Dungeons and Dragons. Rook to b4, rook c5, and Ding plays d3. And Ding sort of played very actively defensively. By the way, can we just talk about these rooks? Like, what are these bozos doing? I mean, they haven't moved for 30 moves. Like, this rook castled, okay? I can't really say, like, castling is moving. Okay, castling is like getting on your friend's private jet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you did nothing, okay? You did nothing to get there in life. You just got lucky. Your friend is rich, all right? But the rooks are not moving. Can somebody move a rook? This is nuts. Okay, okay, he was forced to move. He was forcibly removed from the private jet by the knight. And now it's deathly symmetrical. Nobody's gonna blunder here. And it takes us a little while. Yeah, this is actually kind of cool. He sacks his knight to win back the knight, and he does that to open up the structure here and damage them. But the problem is that even though the structure is bad, the king guards everybody. King's got eyes on everybody, and there's just no way in. I mean, there's no way that white is going to utilize this. So even if the structure is awful... Now, if this was a tripled pawn, yeah, white probably has winning chances, but I got to tell you, even there, it's actually very hard to win when all the pawns are close together. Game 2 ends in a draw. Nothing to choose between these guys. I know everybody wants blood. Look, I don't know what to tell you. These are the two best players in the world right now, not named Magnus Carlsen, at least in classical chess. In classical. I wouldn't say in Rapid and Blitz, but in classical chess. And such is life, okay? Such is life. All right. Game 3. Ding goes back to the white pieces. Ding! Ooh, this is cool. Knight f3, we haven't seen that yet. He has not played already. This is his first new opening. This is 9th game with white. Right, because he played 7, then he just played 1, so this is 9th game. He plays the ready, and he just plays a ready. I mean, in a ready, you don't commit any of these pawns. Now we have c4, castles, and here white can play the actual Catalan. So, I mean, the Catalan is like, Liren was born knowing the Catalan. I mean, he didn't learn it. Like, he knew it. I don't know how, but he knew it when he was born. But he plays b3. b3 is an opening called the Neo-Catalan, because you're kind of playing a Catalan, but you're, like, not playing the move d4, right? So it's kind of a Catalan, but it isn't. It allows black to play d4, which is definitely what Ding wanted, by the way. Like, you allow this because you want to go here, you want to play e3, you want to play b4, you want to destabilize your opponent's center. Yeah, we have c5. Pawn takes d5, knight d5, bishop b2, and now d4. And we have pawn takes, knight takes, queen takes, and checkmate is threatened. And yeah, in this position, something that I've never seen at a World Chess Championship ever in my life, or frankly, any elite tournament ever happened. And if you think I'm exaggerating, or you think you know what I'm about to say, yeah, it's exactly what you think. In this position, Jan Nepomniachtchi stopped the checkmate in one move. Queen drops back. Knight f4. Knight f4 is some flashy stuff. I mean, goodness me. Knight to f4. The idea is that if you take the knight with the queen, I take the bishop and your rook is trapped. If you take, like, let's say, the bishop, I can take with the queen and I hit the rook and I'm still hitting this. So if you do this, I'm going to take the queen and then I'm going to take the bishop and then I'm going to come back. Now, still, Ding has very nasty pressure. In fact, it's super annoying here to play black. Like, if most of you, if any of you play black in this position, you would really, really struggle. You might even lose very quickly because you have no natural looking moves. But Jan plays rook b8. The idea of rook b8 is to move the b pawn, right? Knight e5. Apparently an inaccuracy. But the idea is that he's happy to make this trade because Ding is much better in this endgame. Not much, but enough. And he wants to bring in his rooks, and that's sort of his argument. Jan is not really impressed, plays rook d8, trades, and then this one is very easy. You snap it. That's the bishop's first move of the game, and yes, he perishes, but he perishes for good reason, because opposite colored bishops. Best players in the world know how to transform positions, not like Harry Potter, you know, where you make somebody, you know, into a pig. But they know how to transform positions via trades, and they're not afraid to lose material. Bishop hangs, pawn hangs, doesn't matter, king f8. Doesn't matter because opposite colored bishop endgames are very drawable, to the point that you could be down 2 pawns and draw them in certain situations. Well, rook c7, and a couple moves later we have rook d2, and this is going to end in a draw as well. This is the shortest game recap that I have for you. Not a whole lot happened. You know, Ding got a little bit of a pleasant edge. But that was that. Now it's time for game 4. 1.5 out of 3, 1.5 out of 3. And, yeah, this was absolutely nuts, this game. This game was nuts. And if you're clever, and you have an eye on the timestamps of the video, this is it. This is the final game of the World Chess Championship 2023. Yesterday, by the way, what happened yesterday? I said 2014. You know what? It's because they played their 14th game, so that number 14 just made it into my head. So I said 2014. That was really funny. But at least you guys were watching. I mean, you called me out on that. That was like 12 minutes into the video. It means watch time was pretty good. This is it. This is it. So take a moment, kiss your loved ones. Make sure that they're actually your loved ones before you kiss them. This is it. E4. I'm so tense, and I watched this game live. I know the result of this game. Some of you might. I'm still so tense, and we'll talk about it after. E4, E5. A Spanish. All right? In fact, a Spanish which we've already seen before. We have seen all that. Literally all of that. Knight C3 was played in the other game. Excuse me. Bishop D2 was played in the other game, and then it was Knight C6 and stuff like this. This time we have Knight C3. So Jan plays it a bit differently. Rook B8. Bishop B1. That's a weird move. Apparently it's prep. But what is this? What is this utter disrespect putting the bishop on the knight square stuck behind 3 pawns? What? Now, clearly the idea here is something like this, bishop a2, all right? I'll take it, all right? That looks pretty good. I get it. I understand the idea. What happens if black just doesn't give back the pawn, though? Like, what is going on here, right? And Ding's like, well, you want to get out, so I'm not going to let you get out. b3. Point is that if you take, there is this. So Ding plays the move c5. Knight a4, knight c6. Jan comes back, and Jan apparently should have played the move c3 here, kind of monitoring all of this, slowly trying to get all his pieces out. He drops back the knight immediately, and Ding plays a5 for the second time. His pawn is hanging, and it's a very tense position. Don't listen to Stockfish. I mean, it's spouting out some random evals. This position is utterly tense, and Jan plays the move knight d2. He wants to go here and here. Ding needs to act fast. He plays bishop e6 with the intention to play d5, and the center is officially exploding, but now the advantage is back to Jan. Pawn takes d5, knight d5, and Jan here should again go for pawn c3. The objective is to unearth the bishop. Operation light squared bishop. All right, Operation LSB. That's the plan. Slide the bishop forward and get it to poke out because black has weaknesses and white can actually start some sort of an attack. That is what Jan should do, but he doesn't. He goes here, but that actually further delays the opening of the bishop. Now in this position, Liren has knight f4, completely turning his eye away from the queen side and mobilizing this way. That apparently is the way to go. He can then in the future build up his forces in that direction, queen c7 and so on, and point them at the king. Instead, he takes, all right? He takes, and then he takes again. That is a massive decision. And for some reason, Jan didn't like this. I guess he didn't like opening the d file, but again, I just want to Operation LSB. But instead we have b takes c4. How is this bishop ever getting in the game? Bishop d2, bishop c7. Oh, there it is. But you can't even go d4. So clearly something has gone massively wrong, right? And in this position, Liren plays f5. Pawn to f5 is an indication he don't want no draw. All right, he is starting a same side, king side attack. Here comes the rook. Every single piece that Liren has in this position is attacking. He is going to go e4, he's going to go f4, and queen g6, and all of this good stuff. And essentially right now what we have is an unstoppable force in the black position versus an immovable object in the white position. Will black break through? Rook a2 is a fascinating idea by Jan, trying to cover the entirety of the second rank, and as you will see, this rook comes in handy in a little bit. Queen g6, queen e2, Jan in this position is begging for a pawn break. Why is he begging for a pawn break? Because they all have drawbacks. This allows queen e4. And if this opens up, hello, cowabunga on the diagonal. If you don't play f4 and instead you play e4 trying to go knight e5, I will bust open this position and my bishop will still come alive. And Jan finally succeeds. Pawn to e4 is a mistake, an inaccuracy, if you will. But maybe it was the only move. I mean, Ding can only shuffle back and forth so much. He plays e4, pawn takes e4, follows it up with a knight move, but look at the time. That was clearly the idea. And by the way, look at this. The rook is guarding the bishop. Jan Nepomniachtchi, a defensive savant. Knight e5, queen drops back to g2. Folks, white is a move away from getting this. This is game over for black. Queen g2, king and queen have a hug before the battle begins. Ding plays knight d3. We have takes, e takes f5, and Jan is better in the ensuing endgame and has double Ding's time. Now, there was another moment here. Jan could have chosen to play queen d1. Apparently the best move here was king h8, which is just... They should drug test you if you play this move. Queen g2, knight d3, and Jan plays this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for white. Jan is up a pawn. Jan is up 6 minutes. You literally cannot draw it up any better. In this position, Jan must play rook d2. Rook d2 blocks the bishop's vision here, but you cannot take this because I have queen d5 check, king to h8, and I get closer with my pieces. I have rook e2 and all this stuff, and white has a dominant position. But instead of that, Jan plays this, and mind you, very quickly gives back the pawn on f5, and now it's anybody's game. I mean, it's an open game. Pawn is coming down the board. It's a 3-on-2 on the other side. One side's king is definitely weaker than the other side's. So we have bishop d2, we have h6, queen c6 infiltrating, king h7 hiding from the action, bishops meeting in the center of the board, queen e8, bishop takes c3. Jan is down a pawn, but look at black's position. Black is struggling here. Queen d7, queen e2, dancing around each other. Ding can't push his pawns yet. Queen e4 check. Ding has 90 seconds left on the clock, and the players start repeating moves. We have a repetition of moves going on. Ding, 90 seconds on the clock. And here, the move heard around the world, rook g6! He played it with a minute! He said, no, I don't want to draw. What? Is he out of his mind? I don't want to draw. He wants to lose this world championship. H4, H5. I mean, I don't know. You name it. He can't push either of his pawns. Ding Liren is playing for a win with a minute on the clock. Jan, immediately devastated by this news, plays queen f5, which is a minor inaccuracy. It's not a big deal. And he plays pawn to c4 to advance. Ding. H4, and all of a sudden, here comes queen d3. By threatening a queen trade, the queen escapes all the way back home, and the rook is behind the pawn, and Ding Liren is completely winning. He is completely winning. He's just going to push his c-pawn. Queen a8, rook d6. Oh, he's not completely winning anymore. This is completely nuts. So instead of playing rook d6, he just had to go forward. Yes, rook d8 looks scary or something, but there's nothing. He just had to be brave. He just had to be brave. Instead, he trades the rooks. Queen e4, queen g6, but what? Wait, he has no advantage anymore. Bishop to d4, and now Jan is going to threaten mate. And the bishop is hanging, and the pawn is hanging, and you can't just play a3, right? Surely you can't just play... Wait a minute, he just played a3. And in this position, Jan now has a draw again, but it's impossible to find. It's this. You can't sack a bishop here to force a draw. It's apparently perpetual check. I mean, the computer sees it. But also, Jan can play h5, burying the king and disallowing advancement. But he plays queen c7. And Ding Liren now comes back, pushes his pawn, and Jan cannot stop both pawns. Ding brings the bishop back, plays h5 himself, centralizes his bishop, and now there is a red carpet for all of his pawns. g4, hg, h5, and on move 68 of the 18th game of the World Chess Championship 2023, Jan Nepomniachtchi resigned. And Ding Liren, against all odds, is the new classical world champion. Although it was decided in rapid, which is weird. But that's the way it works. Oh my... The first time Ding Liren led in this match, he won it. He has not led in this match at all. In fact, he trailed in this match 4 different times. In fact, in a game where he was already down 1, he was lost, and he won that game. I mean, commiserations of the highest order to Jan Nepomniachtchi. I have so many thoughts about this, folks. I don't know how many of you have been following chess. Ding Liren was not even supposed to play in this event. He was not even supposed to play in the candidates, which is the tournament that leads up to this event. He got a spot in the candidates because of the disqualification of one of the players. And then he played 20-something games in the span of like 2 weeks to be eligible to play. Because that's the way it works. You have to be active. And because of his struggles during COVID, he was unable to travel much out of China. He wasn't even supposed to play in the candidates. He made it to the candidates. In the last round of the candidates, he was playing against Hikaru. Yes, Hikaru. And he was in no business to win that game. And he won. And because he won, he secured 2nd place in the candidates. And by securing 2nd place in the candidates, he secured a spot against Jan Nepomniachtchi if Magnus chose not to defend his title. And he was down 4 times in this match, and he won. They gotta make a movie about this man. They gotta make a movie about this man. This is the things he had to go through to win this match. Oh my, I can't even. Congratulations to Jan Nepomniachtchi. Congratulations to Ding Liren. Commiserations to Jan Nepomniachtchi. I almost cried when I saw Ding win this match. I might cry. You know what? I will go cry. How about that? And then I'll watch Nick's Heat at 1 p.m. It's been so great making these recaps for you. I'm sorry about the thumbnails, but now we'll go back to having regular thumbnails. Thanks so much for all your support. I really do appreciate it. Play more chess. It's really fun. Now get out of here.